Hi, this is Ennis from Never Stop Trucking. Today we are talking about a small list that I came up with whenever I have new drivers, whether it's a company driver or an owner operator that's leased on to me. I would have to go through this checklist, and this is connected to driver qualification folder or DQ. Now, if you're a dispatcher, independent dispatcher, and you are only dispatching trucks with their own authority, this probably does not apply to you. This is only if you have a trucking company, trucking authority, and you have a new driver that you are putting on your insurance, and you need a driver qualification folder for that. So this does not include DQ documents. I will be making another video about that. This is a checklist once a driver does an interview and then you're hiring that driver or an owner operator, then I go through this checklist to help me figure out what the next step is and if I have done everything I'm supposed to do when a new driver comes in. So let's start. And then also this spreadsheet will be available for you to download free. It's just a small spreadsheet, nothing fancy, no formulas. It just lets you put in a driver name and then for your own references, just do some checks and then see how far you got with the onboarding. Here is that list, and on top here we have driver names. So let's say your driver is John Doe, and then you put in all driver names here. So what I have here is the tasks that I have to do, and then here I will just put a little X to tell me that this step has been completed. As you see, I did delete these driver names because for their own privacy, but this is the newest driver that just started. He didn't start yet, but he's being onboarded here at the company, and then I go here by this list and check as soon as the next step is done. So the first thing that the driver usually does when I'm considering hiring them, they would fill out an application, and once that's done, I would just do a little check here. And then a part of that application is a previous employer form, and you have to send it for each driver to their previous employers. And this is like, when you send it, you just hit X here, and then once you receive it back from that previous employer, once it's filled out and signed, then you can just do an X here. And then I have other forms that are included in the packet, such as driver's license. There is this document that says that you can only have a driver's license from one state, and hours of service, those kind of things. So when all the forms that I have in that packet are filled, I would just click here, and then when I do the driver qualification video, we will go through those forms. Driver's license copy, I make a copy for the driver of their license. That means I have it. Medical card, it's up to date, current, and I have a copy. I check X. MVR copy, this is for the driver record for the driver. When you get the MVR copy, I usually get it from my insurance when they check the driver. And then there are also third-party services that can do that for you with a fee. And then once you have it, because you have to have that on the file every year, you have to update it for each driver. So when you have a MVR copy, you hit X, owner-operator contract. This is usually for owner-operators. There's this contract that you have to have by law. But most companies, if they have company drivers that are on 1099 and they're considered contractors, most companies do the same contract for that company driver, even though they're not owner operators. They are, technically a company driver, but they operate as a contractor. So sometimes DOT will even ask, like if they pull someone over, like on a way station, sometimes they will ask a driver for that contract. So you have to have that, and then if you're a small company, you can just use the same contract and just cross over the things that don't apply to the company driver. Handbook, as far as I know, handbook is not something that DOT requires you to have, but I have it, and I think it's a good practice to have a handbook. It's like if you were at just like a place of work. Usually, when you work in a company, like non-trucking related work, they will have handbooks that tell about rules, like the way you have to behave, like everything that applies to the work culture and rules and policies for that company. So I came up with one, and I put in there, everything, and this is all, driving related. Like you have to have straps, you have to follow the safety procedures, you have to do check calls, all kinds of things. So that's what I have. I came up with that, and I have everyone fill that out. So drug test done. Now drivers have to do a drug test before they even sign a contract. So drug test is usually done right after you agree that with the driver that they will be hired, everything looks fine, and then you send the driver to do a drug test. And then before the drug test comes back in negative, you are limited. You can't sign some of this paperwork, like the contract here. The contract should be dated after or on the day after you got the test, because you can't hire anyone without a negative drug test. Okay, so you can't even start a contract, and not even, of course, not put them in the truck or anything like that. So some of these documents, you have to be careful that the date has to be after the drug test came in as negative. Okay, so drug test done, drug test outcome negative. Okay, driver added to insurance. You can't have a driver driving your truck unless they're added to your liability insurance. And then if this is a new truck and trailer that the owner operator brings with them, then I put this check mark here when I add the truck and trailer to insurance. And then please note, if you are a carrier and the owner operator brings his or her trailer with them, and usually they have their own physical or bobtail insurance for that trailer, you still have to add them to your liability insurance, same as with the truck. Okay, so you have to add both truck and trailer to liability and cargo. Clearinghouse check, another thing. You can't have a driver start working for you until they did the clearinghouse check, and that's really complicated with the government, the way they made that, but you have to have it. Just if you don't know what it is, Google clearinghouse, and then you as an employer have to have an account, and driver as a driver has to have their account. It's a different account, and then you would put in the information for the driver, the driver's license, and then you would send them a full query test before, like when you're first starting with the employment. It's a full query. You have to do full query, and it will send it to their account, and then the driver has to log in, and then they will see that request from you, and they have to give their consent to so you can receive their information, and then they will tell you like whether there have been any records with the clearinghouse as far as drug testing goes, like something like a positive test or something like that. So they will tell you that, and government requires that nowadays. And you have to add the driver to the random drug testing. Okay, so when the drug test comes back negative, then you have to tell them to add that driver to randoms. The driver has to be added to random drug testing from the first day. Set up ELD. If like this truck that I had, was a glider kit truck and didn't have a ELD, but you have to set up, if it's a new truck, new driver, they have to have an account with your ELD provider. Depending how your ELD provider works, like with Keep Tracking that I use, the driver has to register with their email address and then download an app. And then if it's a new truck, you have to put in the ELD device in the truck, connect it, activate it, and so just make sure that that's all done before the driver starts. Fuel cards received. If you have fuel cards, most carriers do, give the driver a fuel card so they can activate it, change the information on the card so they can have the fuel card with them. Truck signs order, that's if you have a new truck coming in and then you have your own truck decals, the signs that go on the side of the truck with your company name. So when you order them, it just tells you here that you ordered them, you didn't forget about it, because sometimes it takes few days for them to make that. Trailer, if the truck does not have a trailer ordered or rented for them now, you can't, there is nothing right now, but, they have to have a trailer. Called previous employers, that's sometimes, especially if it's a smaller company, you can ask a manager or an owner about their opinion about the driver. And, of course, they have to have that this previous employer form first in order so they can, legally talk to you or send it back to you. But sometimes they will talk to you and they will tell you if there's something, wrong with the driver, or if it's a really good driver, things like that. BOL scanning app. We use Genius Scan or Cam Scanner, but there are other free scanning apps that you can put on your phone as a driver, and whenever they're finished unloading, they can take a picture, and then this app will convert it to a PDF document, and they will email it to you, and then you have a really good looking bill of lading that you can use in order to make an invoice for that load. Direct deposit info collected if you're doing direct deposit, and most companies nowadays, I think, are doing that. So make sure you have a driver's account and routing number on file, and then a national registry check. That's for medical cards, and nowadays DOT requires you to check the doctor or whoever, sometimes not only doctors can do it, there are other I don't know if nurse practitioner or there are other titles there, except not just the doctor that can do the DOT physical test for the driver. So you check that doctor with the national registry check. You Google that and it will come up. You put in their ID number or the name, and then it will come up there if they have a current license, and then you will print that out, put it in the DQ folder along with the medical card as a proof that you checked that doctor to make sure that that doctor has a license to do a DOT physical test. Okay. And then driver qualification folder main means, all these documents that go into the DQ folder were prepared and put in the cabinet, and now this is ready for you, and you have everything there in one place. And then here, like if the driver leaves, you remove them from random drug test and you remove them from insurance. And that's it. Thanks for watching. You'll have this form in the description of the video, and along with the instructions how to get it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, come back for more. I'll see you around.